Help me understand it. You and I have both talked about how you are not afraid to look at defense spending because of the debt, because of the deficit. Help me understand how you can cut 80+% of foreign aid. That's what DOJ wants. Hasn't been projected to Congress yet. You guys have not decided to do it yet, in fairness to the process. But tell me why this F-47 makes sense.
Well, this is going to sound contradictory because I am a fiscal conservative. I voted against the last CR in December. Both of those, I was one of 38 and one of 34 because I didn't think we did enough to cut. I think we have a ton of waste, fraud, and abuse. I do think we have to take a particularly hard look at foreign aid because we have a lot of things we all agree were wasteful spending. But I also think we have to be very involved in foreign aid. And I think we have to be smart about it because, quite frankly, we don't want to be the ugly American. We want to make sure that we're exerting our power worldwide, that people understand who we are and what we stand for. Otherwise, we will be taking place by China and Russia and other bad actors if we're not there to set the example. When it comes to military leadership, though, realize this. Most people don't realize we're at the lowest GDP investment by percentage since 1940. I know that sounds absurd. I know we put a ton in the military right now. And by the way, we're spending more on interest payments than we are in the military right now. But quite frankly, China is kicking our butts in a lot of areas. And one of those is in fighters. The F-35 has not measured up. We have a lot of shortfallings. We have to make sure that we don't have a system that's going to fall behind in a conventional war. I know we like to talk about nuclear. Nobody wants to have a nuclear war. We haven't had a peer war between two nuclear powers since we've had nukes. We've had a lot of proxy wars. But quite frankly, we've been talking about this during the entire Biden administration. We've been talking about developing a next generation fighter. And I know you said you didn't even know there was a sixth-generation fighter, but I'm really ashamed that you didn't watch Top Gun Maverick because that's a really good documentary.
I did. I did. I loved it. I loved his message at the beginning of it. I loved the whole thing. Doc, look, if the F-35 is a dud, why don't you stop spending money on that program before you start thinking of a new one? And I thought Russia and China were a fraction of our air supremacy, a fraction. We really need that to be competitive?
Unfortunately, we do. We're really behind in air right now. Quite frankly, the legacy systems, the aircraft carriers we built in the past, very vulnerable systems to these hypersonic missiles now. The defense systems we need, we have a lot of development we have to do on leading edge technologies. We have to be careful not to lock ourselves into one kind of contract, even with the F-47, that we have developing technologies that are literally every year going to modify. Just came back from SpaceX today. And I'll tell you, those guys are modifying every single launch. That's how quick technologies are developing, that you can't stand still, that we're going to have to be very mobile. We're going to have better contracts, more efficient contracts, award companies that do it right, that don't have huge cost overruns, that are doing it with the best of intentions, that realizing that we're going to have drones and unmanned aircraft, semi-autonomous and autonomous aircraft. They're going to go out there and do some real spectacular things that have never been done before. And we have to adapt to the future or we will die. It is way more expensive to lose a war than it is to be prepared to dominate. And I tell you, strength through peace. Or peace through strength, I should say.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly right. Strength through peace would be nice, Doc. I wish we could do it that way. But look, here, I'm having a hard time following, and I'll tell you why. One, what you say about efficiencies, I don't know how you can put Boeing on that list. These guys have gotten away with murder in government contracts in terms of price overruns, delays, the scrutiny for them and Lockheed. Nobody else could stay in business if they weren't on the government tit the way these guys are. And how do you start a new project before you cancel the F-35? Everybody says it was a mistake, but you keep the funding going until 2040? And then you start a new one on top of it, but you got to dismantle the Department of Education because we just don't have the money? How can the American people accept this as being the right set of priorities? I don't get it, Doc.
Yeah, don't get me started on education. There's so many things we could do better in education. I used to
but not in defense?
And no,
but not in defense.
And I love private and public education. It's huge interest of mine. We could talk about that in another segment. But as far as the military goes and the way we develop, you're right. There's been horrible misunderstanding, not just misunderstanding, but misappropriations, in my opinion. When we've done this time and time again, we've been horrible on our contracting, on our deliveries, on our ability. Boeing's had some problems. The reason that Elon
and you don't think it's going to happen this time?
Yeah, and I'm worried about that. And I think there needs to be consequences, quite frankly. And if businesses can't keep up, guess what? There should be some sort of consequence.
Hey, thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your screen. And don't forget, click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.